Welcome, everybody. This is Artists on the Air, and I'm your host, NJ White. And I am super duper excited because I have been following these two amazing artists and their amazing art environment since I left the area that they're in. So at least 12 years. And I'd like to introduce you to the Whimzey twins. I hear you're called the Whimzey
Yeah, we
twins.
go by the Whimsy twins because we're together all the time.
So we have
And our
Todd and Kiaralinda, and they are the artists, the creators, the dreamers of Whimzeyland in Safety Harbor, Florida. So welcome to Artists on the Air.
Thank you very
Thanks for
much.
having us.
And I want to go way back to when you two were in seventh grade.
Yep.
And that must have been a fateful grade to be in because the two of you met in what, seventh grade art class.
Yep. And Safety Harbor, Florida, too. So that was good.
So we
And
met
did,
each other next door to each other.
okay, so you were neighbors first.
Yep.
Right.
Neighbors. Yep.
And then art class came from there. So we did not meet in a classroom. We met in a neighborhood
Yeah.
that we lived in. So our parents knew each other. It was a deed restricted neighborhood, which
Whoa.
is not what we live in now. But so that's where it all began. But yeah, seventh grade
Okay.
art class was something we had in common. So yeah.
Yeah, you were about 13. One of you was 13. I guess you were about the same age. So you
Yeah,
Yeah.
we're both the same. Yep.
13. And then I know that from there was a beige house, beige. I'm saying the word beige
Yeah, it
house
is. It
on
was
3rd
beige.
Street. Yeah. So
Yep.
what happened to that beige house? Why don't you take me through that?
It evolved into what is now Whimzeyland. And how that happened was we both became artists and we started traveling with our artwork, selling it all over the country and seeing different things. And when you're that young,
Yeah, this was
before,
basically right out of college.
yeah, and
Um,
before all the computer stuff, so nobody was Googling anything. We didn't have cell phones. We didn't do any of that. So the world was with an old fashioned map and going from city to city and just finding things that were different. And then when we saw them, we loved them and came back to maybe magazines like Raw Vision might have
yeah, right.
influenced where we went to find cool things. And
Mhm.
then we come back to our little beige house. And I'd say to Todd, so I want to live in a gingerbread house. And he goes, okay, let's do it. And then I want to paint it a different color. Okay, let's do it. So we say yes to everything.
And it's gone through a lot of transitions. We went from a brown house with absolutely no landscaping around it. And my brother-in-law moved houses, so he would call us and say, there's a bunch of palm trees you guys could dig up. So we did that for years. We would dig up plants and bring them back here.
Scavenging everything.
Yeah. And then same with buildings, like our gazebo where we do music sometimes, and it's our outdoor dining area. That came from K-Pop Tree, which was a famous restaurant.
I
And
remember.
yeah, and part of our studio came from there. So we scavenge a lot of things and take them apart and bring them back.
Well, we were young and poor, for one. And so instead of landscaping with rocks, which everybody landscaping, they pay for them, we started landscaping with bowling balls. And
I
because they
heard.
were
Because they were
cheap,
a dollar each
they
or a
were
quarter each or
50
something.
cents, whatever, and we could get them. We were already flea marketing and, so that and garage selling just because the nature of who we are. And so that became the border for everything. And there's 800 of them on the yard right now.
I was going
So,
to ask you that question.
yeah.
800. Okay. Well, why
Yeah, a
don't you
little
do?
more than 800. And then we did just we at the time we were collecting folk art from around the country. So every single artist we met, we asked them if they would do something to a bowling ball. So like Howard Finster and uh Jimmy Lee Sudduth and a bunch of the old folk art masters did bowling balls for us in some form, painting on them, putting button, Mr.
and,
Imagination.
and contemporary. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So folk artists and contemporary artists and family and friends. It was called On the Ball. And you found a bowling ball, or we gave you one, or we shipped you one. Didn't
Yeah.
you ship
I shipped a
somebody?
couple of
Yeah,
them. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. And we got amazing things back. So because and then there's a book called On the Ball
Oh, I
about
didn't realize.
what the people's artwork was. Well,
Is that book still available on the ball?
It might be on Amazon.
it's right there.
We have copies of it still. She
Little-
might have that.
Whoa. Okay, so they get, if anybody was interested in On the Ball, they could get it from you at Whimsyland,
Yep.
right?
Think
Yeah,
so.
they can. Yep.
Yep.
Okay. Well, I'm going to go to my share screen here. Okay, can you see this picture?
Oh,
Yep.
yep.
200 of them are in that pyramid, and those are the only ones that came from a bowling alley. So there's,
Yeah.
I'd say there's 200.
Uh-huh.
I think we counted them at one time, but yeah, those are the only ones that came from a bowling alley switch out kind of scenario. So
And is this the beige house?
It was, yeah.
yes, yeah.
Okay, so here's the picture of the Whimsyland, formerly beige house. And
Yes.
it looks a little different. I see your metal work. You two do a lot of yard metal sculptures.
Yep, that's kind of the artwork that we create now.
Yeah.
About half of our work is garden pieces, and then half is wall pieces and indoor, outdoor. But yeah, that's what we've done for the last 25 years, that body of work.
Mhm.
So there's a lizard and a, it's real small on the far left. Yep, a lizard and a I don't know, maybe a frog.
A frog,
Like
yeah.
a little
That's-
frog, yeah.
And then also around the windows, that's all plexiglass, back painted plexiglass.
Okay.
And that's the first body of work that we did together for 18 years. And then slowly transitioned into the wire. And it was just a fluid transition. We didn't think about it. It just happened. And so now we've been doing Whimsy Wire for way longer than 18
25,
years.
yeah.
Yeah, probably 25. And it's still going strong.
What's the story of the sun up here on your chimney?
So that we just, bright, happy things made us happy. So we found that, and it was aluminum, and we painted it fun and whimsical, and it became the top of the chimney. And the words Whimzey are also that plexiglass. And so people think that's our last name. It's the name of the house.
Yeah.
And that's how we kind of got the moniker Whimsy Twins because it was back when we were making totally whimsical plexiglass work and the name was on the chimney. So it became our name.
That's
So
a cool
yeah.
name. Love this entrance to what is this, like a gazebo or something?
Yep.
Yeah, it's kind of an outdoor dining area for us. And
Okay.
when we started before we had the art center, we did house concerts. So we could hold, Jeff Daniels, the actor, played under there to 170 people. We would hold 100 people in our yard and on the gazebo. And we did house concerts probably for 10 years, I think. And now that the art center's there, everything happens there. But the walkway itself, we made a lot of the tiles that have design on them. And that walkway's been down since 1999. And it's weathered really good. We only had one crack in it the whole time.
And so
this is beautiful. So let's go up. And so this vision, I see this gesture quite a bit. I think I've got another one with two gestures.
Yep.
So tell us about this picture here.
So this is the entryway. Actually, there's a parking pit where 4 or 5 cars can park, and then just street parking everywhere. And it's on these 2 columns, and you go through the jesters to get onto the property, and it says Whimzeyland. Sometimes it used to say "You are here" or "Welcome to Whimzeyland," and so they know that's kind of the entrance. And a ton of people take a bunch of pictures there. That's like one of the ones. But my sister, she takes all of our photography for the Whimzeyland Facebook page, and she just constantly is capturing fun versions of it. And I think her name is on that photo somewhere. But she just loves coming and finding new fun things to do. And she's the one that actually called us one summer and said, "These jesters, they're at the salvage yard and you guys need them." And I was like, "Well, then get them."
Yeah.
And they actually came off of a gambling boat that was based in New Orleans and got taken over by the federal government for not paying taxes in Tampa. So the federal government auctioned off everything on the boat, and that's how they ended up at the salvage place.
Yeah.
But then people that are afraid of clowns sometimes have to walk backwards through our entranceway because they're spooked.
Yeah, because I think I have another picture with the 2 of them. But yeah, so you're walking through 2.
Yep.
But there is also another way to get on the property.
Yeah. You don't have to go past
figure that out if they wanted to.
Okay.
But most people love them.
Yeah, this was a picture of your bottle tree, I think. I don't know if you call it something different or again, more beautiful ceramic mosaic. Do you do that yourself, or do you have a party and invite? Oh, I see. This still leads up to your gazebo.
Yeah,
That
and to our house, front door of the
Yes,
house
so
too.
that
Mhm.
leads, you come through the Jesters and you start walking on the colorful brick road instead of the yellow brick road. And then you walk to the house and then you walk to a little studio where the Bowling Ball Art Museum is, but nobody goes in there anymore because it's kind of storage. And then also the big gazebo where the music was. And then there's Whimsy Wire in this picture, and there's four of those bottle trees on the property.
Yeah, a
Mhm.
couple bigger ones than that, like twice as tall as that current one that's on the screen. Yeah,
Yeah.
we have a couple of really big ones.
And we did do the mosaic, but when we were doing it, it was kind of like all the tile was laid out on the yard, and we were on our hands and knees, and people were starting to visit Whimzeyland, and we'd say, do you want to help, do you want to come down here and like lay some
Stick
tile?
stuff
And they
down.
would, because we're really good at engaging our community and helping with projects and being inspired. And when you help with something, you become inspired to go home and do it yourself, right?
Right.
So
Oh,
yeah.
and that's good because everybody has a little piece of it then. Yeah,
Sure.
that's
Yep,
good. Now, this is the picture that we were talking
yep,
about too, with
Yes.
the two jesters. You are here. So that would be a one way people can come into.
Yep.
yep. That's the main place where people come in,
Yeah.
actually.
Is that how you come in?
Uh-huh.
Yep, that's how we get up to our front door. Our front door is directly to the very rear of that
Yeah, you
path.
just go straight through.
I mean, do you
So
dance down that pathway, or I mean, you can't just
dance,
walk.
people lay on it and take pictures. They just, I mean, it's, we bring everything, we bring all the fun stuff we're putting in our yard that's new through that entryway because
Yeah.
it doesn't stop. It's always evolving. So
It would seem like it'd be hard to be in a bad mood and walk down that entryway.
yep.
No, yeah, it's always good. And a lot of people
Yeah.
leave us notes that said, "Oh, weren't feeling so great, so they came to see the house," and then
Or
they're
bring in
happy.
a friend for
Yeah,
their
right. Yeah.
birthday, or because their friend is sad or going through a tough time.
Here then is the
Ah,
lady in the boat
Yeah,
uh-huh.
she's new this year.
Yep.
and a
Both of
lot of
those, and
blue
then
bottles. Yep.
yep, and then the thing off to the right with the colorful things are old chandeliers out of a bar in Dunedin, Florida, that they gave us, and then we moved them around for 5 years, and then finally decided to stack them up like that.
Fiberglass, like space age looking. They were cool in the bar, and they're friends of ours, so they always give us the fun stuff.
Hmm.
And then we were like, oh, but they need to be colorful, and I putting the paint on them will make them last longer,
Yeah,
hopefully. So, and somebody just asked me, we name everything, Whimsyland, all of our houses that we own have names, our cars have names, everything. So we said, what's her name in the boat? And I don't have an answer
oh,
yet.
you better
So
make up one.
yeah, so that's my new task,
Yeah.
is to
And maybe
name.
have a contest on Facebook or something.
Yeah,
The
Yeah,
yeah,
name's
name
lady
name
in the
our
boat.
boat
yeah, I
passenger.
could do it for sure.
Yeah. Let's see. Okay, so on the boat there was SHAMC, so
Yep.
Safety Harbor Art Museum
No.
Safety Harbor Art and Music Center.
Music Center. Okay, so
Yeah.
here's the picture. Tell us the story of this amazing place.
Okay, so the building behind it is a 2.5 story mirror mosaic building that is called the Odditorium, ODD in capital letters, Auditorium. It's the Auditorium, where the music happens, the concerts that we throw happen. And those panels, how many do you think are on
There's
there?
242 panels on the building, kind of 5 foot by 3 foot panels that are all mosaic. About a core of 30 people. We made all the panels over a 4 year time
But
span.
way more than that.
Yeah.
So I don't know where he got that number from, because everybody would, there's 240 panels, but everybody that walked up to, so this was a construction zone. So we had to do the mosaics on these hardy board panels at Whimzeyland, 5 blocks away. So that we would say, come every Tuesday night and every Sunday morning for 2.5 years. We would say, this is when we're doing it. Show up and help or not. you can come and go and bring friends if you want. And they said, but we don't know how to do mosaic. And we'd say, but you might learn. And some of them loved it. Some of them didn't. We had a grout team that was 13 people, I think. But, not everybody showed up for all the stuff. But so I feel like it was more like 200 people probably coming and going,
And then the old house.
Helping.
So we're on a corner, and that old house is a historic house in Safety Harbor, kind of one of the first houses on this side of town. Two brothers lived in there, twins. One of them was a mayor and one was a sheriff, like in the 1950s.
Where did your funding come from for this project?
The very beginning of it came from Pepsi. They had a program called Refresh Your World. One year they didn't advertise on the Super Bowl, and they ended up, I think, giving away about $5 million to nonprofits.
It was a contest.
Yeah, either for construction, but you had to have a big Facebook fan base to make it work, because you could bother all your friends to vote 3 different ways every day for a month. So a bunch of people helped us win. And then another person gave us $55,000. So that was the seed money for the big building to be built. And then we're
constant fundraising after that, like every single way we could potentially think of, which was and we still raise money for it. We still have not as much, but
And how many different artists in the gallery now?
50.
Yeah, there's 50 local artists. The old house
in
is
the
a
big
gallery.
building.
The gallery's in the old building in the front.
So you were the moving force for this.
Yeah.
Our brainchild.
Yep.
That's pretty amazing.
And we got a lot of community support and a lot of support from artists, musicians and artists away from here to help, get it launched. And now it's been open for 8 years. We actually have a couple paid employees and that. And it's
educational director.
We do kids programming there, artwork and summer camps.
Teach a lot of mosaic.
You have just really shaped Safety Harbor from the time when you were 13 years old.
Oh, yeah.
That was a little different.
Yes, we did.
And then I know you have several, but I found a picture of one of these art cards.
Right.
So
this is,
go ahead.
Well, we do an art festival in Grand Rapids in September, October every year, and it's called Art Prize, and it's like it started out 10 days long. It's now 19 days long, and at one point, so we show Whimsey wire. We've actually had a Whimsey wire car wrapped in our Whimsey wire as an installation. So what you do is you put your installation in, and then you find a host to host you, and then you try to win this big competition. And we do it a different way. We go and we do the installation, but we also sell our Whimsey wire, and so everybody can walk away with a souvenir kind of thing from Art Prize. And one of the years they decided that they were going to do art cars.
And so you had to apply to paint a car, and then if you got picked, we were really good on getting people to vote for winners and that. So Heather, our board member, came up and painted.
She painted it.
And then
it was a concept between the 3 of us, and she painted it, and then we all got everybody to
vote.
So we won.
So we won that car for 2 years.
Yeah. It was
and you drove it around Safety Harbor?
Yep. Yeah, came back to Florida.
Yeah.
It was a
2-year lease. Yeah. That was what you won.
It got driven all over Florida and different things.
And back and forth to.
But we've probably done 10 different cars, maybe somewhere in there.
We're getting ready to go to Art Car this year. Again, it's coming up. So that's in Houston, and we've made, I don't know how many cars.
Probably for them 4, right?
Well,
5.
just in general.
Yeah, 10 maybe.
10.
Yeah.
10 different art cars. This is a painted one. Most of ours weren't painted. They were, one of them was mosaic called the Universe Hearse. And that made it to the Halloween parade in New York City. And and another one was called the Y2K bug. And
that one, we're on the Today Show with that in 99. And then the hearse is actually in Europe right now. So we've driven that all over Belgium and France and Germany and that. But it's a huge car. It's a tough car to drive around because it's so big.
Sometimes I ask a day in your life, but I don't think there's a day in your life that's the same as the next day.
No,
So
No,
not at
not at
all.
all. Yeah.
what's
Nope.
your life like? Whimsical.
Uh, super free, super free
Yeah, we
to
don't
just.
we don't plan things. Like even when we're making artwork, sometimes people want to commission us and they want to see a drawing or something first of what it's going to be, and it's like, well, we'll just make it if you don't like it. But they usually buy it, so it doesn't matter. But we're not we plan stuff when we're going on traveling and that, but our every day to day schedule super fluid. Like we'll make artwork, we'll work on the house.
The gingerbread on the house
Oh,
was
just
kind of has
changed,
been
yeah,
falling off because the weather in Florida's, but it's been up 30,
yeah.
long time. So we just made record gingerbread. So we took records and I had a bunch of my girlfriends paint them because we do that group. Hey, everybody, let's paint some stuff
Hey,
and be part of my house one more time, right? And so we painted records, we cut them in half, and then we made this gingerbread. And I think one of the pictures was the top of
The new.
the new gingerbread.
and do you have a circuit when you go on the road? Like you said, you do some shows and exhibitions or things, or is there a plan, or is every year different?
Every year is a little different. We go back to a couple cities. We do a big show in Buffalo and Cincinnati every year, a couple in Chicago, and we always try to add a couple new shows just so we don't get bored. But
Mm-hmm.
we try to go back to the big shows, and then we see music and go to art. We're on the road 6 months out of the year, so Safety Harbor is our main home. We have a little place in Chicago and then a little place in Boulder, Colorado. So we kind of home base out of those, but we're on the road a lot,
We're
which we like.
gypsies.
Yeah.
Whimsical gypsies. It sounds like you just have created the life that you aspire to.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, and we're always super thankful. We don't really think about it every year, but every year, it works out really good. And yeah, so at the end of the year, we're always like, wow, we made it through
That
another
year
year.
was better than this year. Wow. Because, with life and times and changing,
Mm-hmm.
everything can change on a dime, right? So, post COVID, things came back and really grateful, always grateful that we get to do what we do and make people happy in the yard and at the art center. SHAMc makes a ton of people happy too. So we just learned that we were in the Allegiant Air magazine. The press we get is kind of just who knows how they find us, but they do. And we were like, oh, Whimzeyland made it. But we're always happy when SHAMc makes it too, because Whimzeyland's, she's been around forever. She gets a lot of love. But the art center's new and 8 years old, and it's doing a lot of good work by teaching
Right.
kids. And so we're super happy that people are paying attention to that. And we always try to guide people to, help showcase that because it's a big labor of love.
Is there a website for that, Shamsi?
There is, yeah, just
SHAMC.org.
shamc.org,
Okay.
The
SHAMC.org, yeah.
Safety Harbor Art and Music Center is too long if you can't remember it, but SHAMC.org is the shortened.
And that's where they would have the calendar of
Yep.
music. Okay,
Yep.
we'll
And
go ahead and
workshops
post
and
that
all of
too.
that. Yep.
Sure.
Okay, great.
Sure.
Well, that
Um,
sounds wonderful. And, do you ever think back to when you were 13 and those awkward kids in seventh grade? And did you ever
Mhm.
think this is our life?
the only thing I would think is that it's funny that we came from such a deed restricted community. It's just and we didn't even know what that meant, and we didn't know when we moved and bought this house in Safety Harbor, the beige thing. It was just cheap. It was between where we were living because I had moved to Tampa with my dad, and Todd was still living in our neighborhood where we met. So it was just this place in between and cheap, so we could afford to buy it and then transform it, but we didn't even really know that it was non-deed restricted here. We were
At
just
the
gonna,
yeah.
we were just doing it and knowing we weren't getting in trouble.
And you too exude wonderful, whimsical, happy energy. And it just spreads. So I imagine there's just this vibration all around your blocks.
It feels it. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So it's that kind of like open, free, everybody's included kind of thing, if at all
Oh,
possible.
I love it.
And
And I
play
love
now,
what you
rest,
created.
play now, rest later is our motto. So that's how we live.
Yeah, that's the we had that across the hood of the hearse. Play now, rest later was
That's
our
a,
thing, and then we had people engrave on their words to live by on the hearse.
thank you for taking time.
Yeah,
Artist in the air, and we're just going to shoot it out all around the America, the world, and you'll
Great.
hopefully get some more visitors at Whimzeyland.
That's
yeah, great.
and
Thanks.
SHAMc, Safety of
Yeah.
Art and Music Center.
That's right. I'll put the links there too. So
Only
again,
5 blocks
thank you.
away.